Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a licensed Chinese medical provider. I'm nationally certified and I'm a practicing Taoist. And so what that means is I use a lot of Chinese medicine to help bring me back into balance, to help me become the best person I could be. And another way of looking at it is helping me become more self-actualized. You know, I don't know how far I'm going to get in this life, but I'm guessing anywhere is better than nowhere, right? So any step forward is a step in the right direction. So if you're in that boat too, where you're going, you know, I would like my life to be better than it is right now. I would like it to be more comfortable, less stressful. Then this is a place for you. And what we're going to talk about today is one of the key organs in our body, and that's the lungs. And the lungs, oh my gosh, they have always been so fascinating to me because they're the one organ that allows us to be totally present. So you notice in every meditation that they always are focusing on your breathing, because when you breathe, that is about being here right now. That is the organ that pulls you into the presence. And how that does that is the lungs, you know, the lungs open into the external environment, right? So you breathe in the air, and that is the one way that the external environment comes into your body and becomes part of you, or at least it starts on that journey of becoming a part of you. And so the lungs are your gateway to the external world, and they allow you to bring in the external world, and they allow you to start to assimilate the external world. And that's pretty important, you know, trying to assimilate our external environment. And the better we can do that, then the more comfortable, the less stressful our lives are. Okay. So that sounds great. Okay, but what does that mean to me? So what does it mean to you? So do this with me. I want you to breathe in. So sit there, sit for a minute, and then breathe in. And breathe out. And breathe in. Breathe out. Did you notice anything about your breath? And you're probably going, well, you know, not really. I'm breathing in just fine. So when you breathe in, you want to feel your breath go in through your nostrils, go down past your chest, go down below the diaphragm, go down below the belly button, go all the way down, and then you want it to come right back up. And you want that to do that in a relaxed state. So there's no tension, there's no pressure anywhere. When you do that, that's so relaxed that you don't even realize you're doing it. The only reason why you know that you're doing that is because you're concentrating on it right now. So let's do that again. Ready? Did you feel that go all the way down? Okay, if you didn't, don't worry about it, because that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about how you can use your breath to help you figure out what you can work on to make your life more comfortable and to help you with your meditation and your own self-actualization. Okay, so when you breathe in, what did you notice? For most of us, our breath doesn't go all the way past our belly button. You know, it stopped doing that a long time ago, right? And I think the one time that I remember when it was still really easy to do that was when I was a kid, laying in the fields, looking up at the clouds, smelling the grass and hearing the crickets. When I was that person, that's when I could breathe in, didn't notice a thing. It went all the way down to my belly button, expanded, and then came back out. And then life happened, right? Because life happens to all of us. And we're like, oh man, that was stressful. Or oh my gosh, I got to go to school tomorrow and I didn't get my homework done. This is going to be so stressful. The teacher's going to embarrass me. There's so many things that happen during life that cause so many emotions, and those emotions start to weigh on us and they start to become more a part of us. When we're a kid, maybe we didn't have that much exposure to all these emotions. So when you breathe in, let's talk about that again. What if your breath stops way up here? Okay, that's a nervousness. It's a level of stress where you're a little bit jumpy with things. You're always a little bit concerned about if you're doing things right, or if you're going to get fired, and that kind of nervousness is about excess energy. And so, you've got all this excess energy flying around. And one of the best ways to help you break that cycle is the minute that happens, go for a walk or jog in place or do jumping jacks. Do something to allow you to push that energy out of your body. Okay, so there's one place where your breath stops. And that's probably the easiest one to deal with, because you go, oh, breath stopped here. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling anxious. Go run around. And then let's say, okay, your breath, it goes past the chest. Okay, it's going past that. And let's say it stops around the diaphragm. Well, this one's a little bit more complicated, because that one, you're going to notice kind of frustration sometimes. Judgment's a good one, is another way of looking at it. Inflexible, that might be another way of looking at it. And wanting things done in a specific way, that might be another way of looking at it. So this one here in the diaphragm area, not as easy as the one up here in the chest. The one up there in the chest, all you had to do was go run around. The diaphragm one, well, the best way to help you move past the diaphragm is foods. And that means, oh my gosh, you got to just try cutting out all the processed, all the fast foods, all the alcohol. Cut that out for a day, or cut it out of one meal. Because what you want to do is you want to start eating foods that you can process easier. And when you eat foods that you can process easier, they won't help get bind up in this section, and they will help you start releasing some of that frustration or some of that control or some of that judgment, and you'll have a more relaxed life. So that one's probably like the hardest. Now, there's also, I had an episode on breathing, and it's up here. Okay, I think there's a link to it up here. And that gives you some stretches that you can do to help stretch that out. Yet at the end of the day, you're still going to have to think about, reducing some of or changing some of the foods that you're eating on a daily basis, or, as much as you can. And then let's say that your breath, like you breathe in, and you notice that your breath stops around your navel, like it might stop to one side of your navel. And it's an uncomfortable feeling. You can't really put an emotion to it. But when you start thinking about it, there's a level of fear tied into that. Well, for that one of the things that you can start doing is you can start taking calcium. And that, over a period of a couple months, will help reduce that feeling of fear. So that can help you breathe in deeper. Now, just because your breath stops up here doesn't mean you don't have all three of those other ones, and that there's a whole lot of things going on. It's just that sometimes it's easier to address one of these at a time. And then when you address one of them at a time, then the other one starts to show up. So if you address this and you go, gosh, now I have this one in the sternum, and then you address that and you go, gosh, now I have this one over here on the side, and you address that. Well, by the time you address that third one, your breathing's going to be so much better. And you're also going to find your outlook on life is going to be so much better. So, so who cares if you have blocks in all three areas? Every time you take a step forward means that you take a step closer to stepping over this block and changing how you perceive the world and changing how you interact with the world. Okay, so that is some thoughts on the lungs and how you can use your respiration to help you kind of figure out what is it that I can change in my life to make my life easier, to make my life more relaxed, to engage more fully in the world, and to feel more alive and happy with life. Okay, so until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.